Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show.
On a beach in the sand, I think of you. I think of you. Hey, you, did you realize I love you all my life? And when you're gone, I'm all alone.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Now that we finished the book series, it's time to get down to a little more serious things. I am your host, Curt Williams, spiritualist, metaphysician, and hermeticist. Now, we've been over what that all means. We all know that a spiritualist is someone who not only communicates with his spirit talks to him, we talk back and forth, and I have basically decided that this spirit of mine is in charge of the whole thing. We do what it wants to do, what it wants me to do, instead of the other way around. So we don't manifest, we don't do things that our brain wants to do. We don't chase riches and all this kind of things. We basically, it's almost like religion when it comes to faith. I trust Big Curt, my spirit, because it's gotten me out of a lot of jams, and I'm sure it didn't do that. It didn't bring me this far to if something obnoxious should happen to me, then I would already understand that that's a part of a whole plan. Perhaps I did something bad in the past and I'm paying for it. Perhaps it's a lesson to steer me in a certain direction. So be it. I've given my spirit permission to do so. Whatever he says, whatever messages I get, I go with. Which brings me up with the topic today. First of all, I have my mug. I explained last week that in the editing process, there's a lot of popping going on, and it takes a lot to alleviate all the popping during the editing. Come to find out that all you need to do is drink a little water to keep your mouth moist, and it will eliminate the popping. So this is not for decoration, although it's a hell of a it's a hell of a mug. So my spirit has led me to take a tough turn right here. I'm going to talk about some things that are probably not the brightest things to talk about when it comes to criticizing other people. I've noticed in this business that people are very tolerant of people's opinions, and it makes sense to do so because you want people to be tolerant of your opinion. You don't want to come out with some new age things that people haven't heard, and at the same time, here you are rejecting someone else who is doing the exact same thing. Who's to say I'm right? Who's to say they're wrong? So with that bit of ambiguity with all of this, you're safe to not criticize anyone. However, if you do not mind being held accountable for things that you said, then that's different. I don't mind being held accountable. I want somebody to remind me of something I said because I am determined to stick to it. Which brings me to, I've been watching in social media and everything, and I've been looking at the actor Terrence Howard. Now, I've been listening to what he said, but I'm not going to let him get away unchallenged. Perhaps he'll hear me, and I believe that I have some things that I can add to what he's saying, so what he's saying could make some sense, because it's not making the kind of sense that I would expect. The kind of sense that I would expect from somebody who is an authority. You are an authority if you invite yourself to Oxford and speak in front of people who are aspiring to be the greatest minds in the world. You need to be prepared to do so. You don't want to get there and end up with the people sitting there looking at you like, I'm not getting this. So, which is basically what he did. Okay, so if Terrence Howard ever hears what I have to say, listen very carefully, because I'm going to give you some help with your thoughts. Number one, when you're dealing with science, and I'll say the same thing to scientists. Number one, you don't know what you're talking about fully. All you're doing is beginning to understand the principles that the Creator has already created in a perfect way. And you scientists will be forever trying to understand fully what He has done. The created cannot conceive the Creator. You have no idea how brilliant the Creator of all this is. You ought to have an idea. It's right here in our face. Creation on the level of the Creator is beyond our ability to understand. So when you find out things, and so-called finding yourself discovering things scientifically, you need to humble yourself and realize all you're doing is becoming to realize just a small part of what the Creator has already created. Terrence Howard said that he figured out the flower of life, which is a bunch of bullshit, because number one, I'll tell you why. This is where my advantage comes from. I'm a spiritualist, which basically means that when I'm listening to my spirit talk to me, my spirit is connected to the universe. My spirit lives in a different place than I do. It's with me, but it's also without me. It exists in a place where there's no such thing as time. It can see the past, present, and the future, and it knows things I will never know, and all I have to do is ask my spirit, does the flower of life, what exactly does the flower of life means? I was told this. You take a big circle, make some smaller circles, intrinsic circles they call them, and you start making designs. And basically, it's a very easy way for a person who is not an artist to make something that looks like they knew what they were doing. That's all it is. That's why you see it all over the world, because it looks complicated, but it's quite easy to do. You just take a circle, and you take a big circle, a pot, go around, and you take smaller ones, and you fit them in there, and you keep doing that enough, you're going to come up with this beautiful piece of artwork. This is not the Fibonacci sequence. The Fibonacci sequence is science. The Fibonacci sequence is a situation where you take an angle and then you just take the intersecting part of that angle. And then if you make a curve, you end up with something that's called the golden ratio. Well, that golden ratio, as you begin to measure, and science will tell you this, that it forms a pattern. Now, once this particular pattern, not the flower of life, but once this particular pattern has been discovered, then you begin to find it in nature. You begin to find that the plants are based on the Fibonacci sequence. That trees, there are so many things in nature, even the human body. They try to say the human body, you like that, you can make some circles and everything, and there's your flower of life. But the flower of life will fit anything that has balance. So it doesn't, yeah. Anyway, the Fibonacci sequence is real science, and real God-given gift. Flower of life is a piece of artwork if you're not very good at art, and you just, and anyway. Aside from that, Mr. Howard, you said something that you remembered when you were in the womb of your mother, which is, let me explain that one. When you are a fetus and you're developing in your mother's womb, there's a part of your brain called the hippocampus. Now, this particular part of your brain is in charge of memory, perception, navigation, and space. If you put all those together, that's basically everything almost. So this is a part of your brain that is not yet developed while you're in the womb. It begins to develop once you are in, that's a little questionable factor as far as when it starts to begin. But not only does the process have to begin, it has to be taught interpretations of what space is. You don't have definitions for anything yet, because you don't understand language yet while you're still in the womb of your mother. You don't know what space means. You don't know what memory means. You don't know. In other words, however, there is an out here. I understand what you're doing. I understand what's really going on. Let me explain it this way. Deja vu. It's impossible. Deja vu, it cannot occur. Deja vu is a situation where you feel like you've been somewhere before. Hey, I remember being here. I remember these people. I remember these circumstances. And then, I know what you're about to say. Let me tell you that is not possible in a linear universe. We live in a linear universe, which means it has a beginning and an end. So basically, in a system where everything must change, you have time. So time moves from one point to another. Never at any point does time stop. Never does any time, is there any place where you could be here and interpret here? Because here hasn't happened yet. So you could not have been anywhere before. You could not have had a recollection of being somewhere before. However, we do know that these things occur because we have all felt them. We have all felt like, oh, I've been here before, and this is what's going to happen next. So, since I said that's impossible, then how could it be true? There's only one circumstance where that could be true. And that is, it is not your mobile brain that is remembering these things that has not happened yet. As a spiritualist, everybody has a spirit. So your spirit is not restricted to time. Your spirit can, in fact, see the past, present, and the future. Your physical body has never been to this point to say, oh, I've been here before. But what you can do is say, hey, my spirit saw this a long time ago and gave me images. In other words, what you're doing is you're catching up to something that your spirit has already seen. So it's not like I've been here before. No, you're just now getting there. It's just your spirit has seen it before. Big difference. It never happened before. Your spirit has seen it before. No. So, like I said, what I'm trying to explain to a person like Terrence Howard, no, you don't remember being in the womb. However, your spirit not only remembers you being in the womb, it was there to pick out the parents that you ended up having. It picked the womb you was going to be in before you realized it. This is what I want Mr. Howard to understand, that the spiritual aspect of who you are can bring you up to logic. It could, if you understood that part, everything you're saying before can begin to make sense. From a spiritual standpoint, 1 times 1 could mean 2. If you add a couple of more dimensions. See? That's all you got to do. I mean, it's from a spiritual standpoint, everything Terrence Howard is saying is possible. Even the flower of life could mean something from a spiritual standpoint. It could mean that the flower of life was put on a big platter and set up into a top of a building, and then one of these days it's going to fall down and bust the head of a king or something. I mean, your spirit will know that. Oh yeah, this flower of life is going to mean something in the year 2021 when it, so I'm saying your spirit can have, your spirit has an advantage. So while Terrence Howard is talking about how powerful his brain is, if he only knew how powerful his spirit is, everything would make sense. He's giving credit to himself for something that his brain is doing. Now, me, at the other hand, I can be as brilliant as I want to be, because I keep saying it ain't me, it's Big Curt doing it. Big Curt told me that. So I have a right to be special, because that's what I'm listening to. It's not coming from this. It's not coming from this. It's coming from that. And that has told me a lot of things that I needed to know. Now, I'd like to talk about, from a spiritualist standpoint, mediums. I understand I'm not supposed to criticize anyone, because it will bite you in the end. If you can criticize somebody, you're setting yourself up to be criticized. However, I would like to be held accountable for everything I'm saying. I want to be reminded, because it's going to come down to this. If you accuse me of saying something I never said or never thought, I'm going to know that too. And then I'm going to be able to tell you exactly what I said. I have issues with mediums. As a spiritualist, it seems like a system that is, if understood properly, you would realize how unnecessary it is to do so. To read the minds of people, to discover things about them personally that they want you to, like what happened to their dead relatives. This was something that came in it really came into fashion after World War I, when a lot of people wanted to know what happened to their loved ones. Did they go to heaven or hell? What happened? Can you tell me something about my loved ones? The problem with mediums is, I heard a medium say that they take great pleasure in helping. You should see how grateful the people are after you help them, after you've contacted. Oh, they feel so much better. They thank you, and you can see the love and even tears in their eyes sometimes when they explain how much they appreciate what you were able to do for them. Remember the parable about Jesus teaching a man to fish instead of giving him some fish? Because when you teach him how to fish, he will have fish forever. I believe it's the same thing with spirituality. I know that what I do as a spiritualist is not unique to myself. Everybody has one. You just have to exercise it like a muscle. You have to talk to it, and it's going to talk back to you. And if it doesn't, keep talking to it. One of these days it's going to say something, because you're going to have to recognize the way it sounds. The way you recognize the way your spirit sounds is by frequencies. Everything is based on frequencies. Mine is so prevalent, pervasive in my life because I'm registered to the frequency. I got used to listening to this particular frequency as a young boy. So I'm hearing this thing. I've never not heard it. So it's not like I had to develop anything. I just never not heard it. It's been saying stuff, and I've been paying attention. And the more you pay attention, the stronger the frequency gets. Now the frequency between myself and my spirit is solid. It's a bond. All I have to do is say something. And if my spirit wants me to have it or do it, he will, because, he already knew I was going to say it anyway. Like, for instance, I'm working on a song right now. Well, when I work on music, when I work on songs, I know good and well it doesn't do me any good to write it down on paper. It doesn't, because it's not going to work. Because I'm not going to be able to know if it's the right thing until I hear it on the recording. So after I finish my music, then I go into the booth and I begin to think about what I'm going to say, and I sing it. And sometimes it comes out, but one thing I do know, that once I turn off this machine and leave, when I come back, it's either going to be a bunch of mess that I created, or it's going to be something good. It takes several times, because here's the deal. Music, like the group Earth, Wind & Fire said, they said that songs never dissipate. They only recreate in another place and time. So any song that a songwriter is writing is a song that's already been done. If nothing else, your spirit has already heard it in its best form. So when I leave and come back, my spirit already knows what the song needs to sound like. So if I listen to the song and it doesn't sound, it's basically, nope, that's not it. You just, and I got so tired of scratching off lyrics, I said, I'm not going to write anything down anymore. I'm just going to go in there and start singing whatever's on my mind at the time. And then it fits, and you're not only able to take the lyric and match it, but you're able to take the timbre and the tonality and everything and fit it to the music. So it's a better way. It's the way I write. I don't know if it's better, but it's the way I write. My point is, your spirit already knows what the finished product is. It already knows what the finished product is going to be. So all you have to do is know how to communicate with it. Mediums. What I'm trying to say is this. If you think it's a joyful thing to tell people about their loved ones who have passed away, how much joy do you think they would have if you taught them how to do the same thing? If you say, no, you don't need me to do this. This is how you do it. You sit there and you relax, you meditate or something, and you start to ask yourself, and just wait. This is how I started in my beginning. I knew that if I asked myself a question and just waited, all of a sudden, when I'm not even thinking about it, boom, that's your spirit communicating with you. When a certain frequency is able to hit you, it might not be able to hit you until you're at a certain space. You might be driving down the street and all of a sudden, boom. The point I'm trying to make is that everybody is capable of communicating with their spirit. That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here to teach. If a medium would say, hey, this is how I'm going to show you how to communicate with your parents so you won't have to bother me again with this. And I keep being reminded of the Whoopi Goldberg movie Ghost, when she finally discovered that she had this ability. And as soon as she discovered it, all these ghosts started coming to her saying, ooh, you have this ability. Now I want you to call and tell my relatives this and that and the other. See, I have a deal, an operation going with Big Curt, my spirit. It's like, Big Curt, don't let no other voice come to me. Don't let no, it's just me, you, and the Creator. That's it. That's all the voices we gonna hear in our lifetime. Big Curt, keep all the other voices out. I don't want nobody dead relatives in my head. They might decide to stay there. Why wouldn't they? If they find out that I have the ability to talk to their relatives, why would they ever leave me? Just like in the movie Ghost, when he started singing a song, getting on Whoopi's nerves until she did what he wanted him to do. Who the hell wants that? You know, and if a medium is really registering these people, you're inviting people into your head. Teach them how to catch a fish. And I don't mind if somebody later on holds me to all this. Okay, I hope I've made some kind of sense. Terrence Howard, I'm only saying all this because I'm sure if you use the spiritual side of yourself, you can make sense out of 1 times 1 is 2, because in certain dimensions, that's probably the case. And you could make sense of you remembering the womb because your spirit created the situation. Anyway, I love everybody. Thank you for coming, and I'll see you on the next show.
Love me too, love me too. Right there, right there. Love me too.
subscribe and push the like button.